Hi, I'm Joshua Pauly, cantor at the cathedral. This Advent season, maybe you could consider taking part in Adoration of the Blessed Sacrament in the Adoration Chapel. If you have the time and the chance, you could even consider taking one of the hours there. But even without that, just praying before the Blessed Sacrament, that could be a good way to prepare for the coming of the Lord. Today's readings are for the third Sunday of Advent, otherwise known as Gaudete Sunday, and the readings are from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 3, verses 10 through 18. The crowds asked John the Baptist, "What should we do?" He said to them in reply, "Whoever has 2 cloaks should share with the person who has none, and whoever has food should do likewise." Even tax collectors came to be baptized, and they said to him, "Teacher, what should we do?" He answered them, "Stop collecting more than is prescribed." Soldiers also asked him, "And what is it that we should do?" He told them, "Do not practice extortion, do not falsely accuse anyone, and be satisfied with your wages." Now the people were filled with expectation, and were asking in their hearts whether John might be the Christ. John answered them all, saying, "I am baptizing you with water, but one mightier than I is coming. I am not worthy to loosen the thongs of his sandals. He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and fire. His winnowing fan is in his hand, to clear his threshing floor, and to gather the wheat into his barn. But the chaff he will burn with unquenchable fire." Exhorting them in many other ways, he preached good news to the people. Reading these passages in the context of today, Gaudete Sunday, it makes for an interesting combination. Gaudete Sunday, with the different color of the liturgical season, that rose color instead of the deeper purple color. It's a day that is a moment of joy. You see, Advent, it's in our general Catholic consciousness. It's not on the same level as Lent when it comes to penance, but it's still a season of this kind of penitential, solemn waiting. Gaudete Sunday is considered a small break in that, where we instead bring the joyful anticipation is. So how, when we read these readings, which seem like severe warnings, do we focus on joy out of this? Well, one way is at the beginning of the Gospel, as Saint John the Baptist talks about giving to others, finding the joy of giving. The joy in giving. And when he advises the groups of people who come to him, a lot of this comes down to finding contentment, and joy where you are. Not having the temptation to cheat or take more than you need because you have found that joy where you are. Also, we hear about Christ coming, and that's of course a cause for joy. Someone coming greater than John the Baptist. And John the Baptist was referred to elsewhere in the Gospels as there being none greater among those born. So Jesus is even greater, and he's coming. That's something to be joyful about. And the chaff he will burn with unquenchable fire. How can this be something that we would look at as joyful? Well, there's more than one way to look at that. It's also the chaff in our personal lives, the things, the parts of us that don't bring us closer to holiness, that don't bring us closer to God, being burned with that unquenchable fire, being burned away, and that brings us closer to heaven, closer to what we should be, and that's a joyful thing. So you can find the joy in these readings whenever you think of it in these ways. So this is still Advent. How do you, thinking of this Gaudete Sunday, how do you put joy into your Advent celebration, mixed in with the solemnity, with the solemn and sobering reflections? How do you also sprinkle in those bits of joy? And that's something to talk about with your discussion groups. As usual, may your prayers be answered, and may your intentions be well formed. We'll see you next week.